Welcome, everybody. Moose Milk Podcast, episode 18. We are live, hopefully without technical flaws this week. Last week we had some major issues, so hopefully we won't have the same problem this week, and my voice doesn't go crazy, and yeah, we can get through these next 10 best, top, whatever you want to call it, albums between me and Mr. Matthew over here. Just waiting for him to join before we get started. I hope everybody's well. Hope everybody's staying safe during COVID. Everybody's starting to get vaccinated, which is awesome. Love to see it. But yeah, it's a Friday night. I've had a few beers. For some reason this week I'm really nervous about doing this podcast. I don't know why. But I'm glad people are joining. As you may have noticed, I posted the first 10 top albums that we did between me and Matt each day this week. So if you missed last week's episode, you can go scroll through my feed on Instagram, or you can go to YouTube and watch last week's episode, whatever you prefer. But yeah, I posted each day about that. This week we're going to do our last 10, and then next week we're going to do something different. My dog's going to bark because he's a jerk. Right there? Yes. There's Matthew right there.
Holla.
Sexiest man I know. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, you know. Just chilling. You know. Same shit. How's you?
I'm good, man. I've been drummeling away. I've been working on that Brainiac figure for Jesse Rath, for that actor guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I did all the prep today, and I spent the last hour trying to put LED lights in his chest.
How hard is that?
I've never done it before. I'm struggling so far.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to fit everything into such a small little space.
Oh, for sure. Then you're going to have some kind of small watch battery or something on it?
Yeah. So I have two different options right now. I'm trying to get it to work with a switch, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not. I'm not sure.
Nice.
So yeah, so I worked on that all day, and
I don't like the same
day, but since right after work, pretty much I started working on it a little bit before.
Right on.
Yeah, man. What have you been doing?
I played a little bit of Resident Evil 8 on stream for a little bit.
Yeah, how was that? Good?
Yeah, it's cool so far. I dig it.
Nice.
I have a couple audio issues again, so you know. But
did it just come out?
Yeah, it came with that.
Nice.
And you grabbed my dog, so we stopped working. Oh no, you wrong way, you fucking asshole. Yeah. So what have you been doing all week? What have you been watching? What have you been listening to?
Well, this week I was listening to a lot of the same that I've been listening to the last few weeks, just with what we're doing. So it's been
same. I've been hitting fucking all the different albums.
Well, it's funny because your mentioning of Metric I was like, oh yeah, that's a band. And I went back and listened to, it's the first album that I like of theirs, so that's old as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the album. I've listened to the whole album quite a bit over the last week, so
yeah.
It's been good.
I listened to the Format album.
Did you like it anymore?
I did.
Yeah,
it's very fun-esque.
There's definitely lots of similarities for sure.
You can feel the fun or undertones or whatever within it, where you can see how fun evolved from the format. But there's a few songs on it I thought were oh, these should be cut. These aren't very good. But
was Snails one of them? A lot of people don't like Snails. Oh, do you? Yeah, I like Snails a lot too.
I can't remember particularly. I only listened to it once, but yeah, there's a few tracks where I was these are kind of duds. But I think the first 2 or 3 tracks I really liked. I was oh yeah, I definitely into this. I could listen to this.
Yeah. They have a similarity to them, but I don't know what it is, but I like it.
And then I was going to listen to that Panic at the Disco album, but then I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
I would never think that you would do that. So I got this in the mail today from my friend. He
very nice.
We did a figure swap
that's awesome.
3 years ago. And
I like the colors. The color,
Yeah, he
variation.
did a really good job. So this is a
Yeah.
like kind of more '90s costume,
No, that's really cool.
and yeah, he kind of like got out of figures for a while and like was just kind of like busy with life and trying to get his like kind of career off the ground and stuff. So he kind of like fell out of figures, and then when he got back into them, when he got a bit of free time, he like immediately picked up where he left off. So it's kind of nice, like after like a few years. It wasn't quite 3 years, but it's pretty close. So
Cool.
yeah.
What'd you think of the Mortal Kombat movie?
It was what I expected it to be. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
I think
it
it's so
was
fun.
I didn't like. It's not like I was expecting this movie that was going to change the game, you know. So like, it worked. There was lots of parts where I was like, I know what that is.
Oh yeah,
and
I mean, it's fan service as hell.
The difference for me is like, I haven't done Mortal Kombat since like Mortal Kombat 3, probably. Like,
sure.
Like, I don't think I ever played anything beyond. Yeah, I'm talking Genesis. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It was still fine. It was fun. It was like, yeah.
No,
I feel
I
like
thought
they shouldn't have killed so many though. Like, seems weird to
Mortal
like.
Kombat, everybody comes back.
I guess.
Like, they'll find a way to be like, oh yeah, their soul came back and now he's evil now, or like they'll come up with something shit. Like,
I just need Kano. That's all I need.
Yeah, Kano was awesome. That's the best part of that movie.
Kano's the best part of the movie.
Yeah, Kano's hilarious.
Yeah, he was really good.
But yeah, I love the uber violence of it. Like, I loved. It looked good for like. I mean, there's definitely like you could tell it wasn't like super high budget, but like compared to the original, I'm like, oh wow, this is like night and day. Like,
yeah, I'd agree with that for sure.
20 years in between the movies, so it should be. But yeah, I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was pretty fun. So it was cringy in some spots, but again, I wasn't going into this expecting not cringe. Like, I knew there was going to be, yeah.
Come here.
Another thing I got today was I got the Shang-Chi action figures.
Oh wow, that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They're pretty.
Is
fun
it just the one, or does it have like a bunch?
There's 4 from the set, so
nice.
I got all 4. I was originally only going to get Shang-Chi, but I needed they all come with like a part, and then when you buy the whole set, it makes like one big figure kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I needed a couple parts from the Build-A-Figure for a custom I'm working on. So they all happen to come with the MCU figure. So I was like, all right, I'll just get the MCU figures.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I got all 4. I got Shang-Chi and Xiling, I think is her name, and then Wenwu, who is like Shang-Chi's dad, and I think he might be the Mandarin. I don't know. And then the Death Dealer is that guy with the white face with the red stripes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his dad's the Mandarin. Like,
yeah, it seems like that's how they're set. But I mean, if that's how they're setting it up, maybe that won't be the case too.
Sure. The fucked up thing is, we would have got Black Widow today. I mean, we would have got Black Widow a year ago too, but this was Black Widow's original or newer release date today. So
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think actually
not that far off.
I think originally this was the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness release date.
Damn, we're behind.
We're way behind. We're like a year behind, but I'm actually like kind of stoked that stuff got delayed because now we're gonna get like 4 movies in the span of like 5 months.
That's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, it's gonna be real cool.
I know. I saw the release schedule for Marvel stuff without Disney Plus, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! It's like
we get like 3 movies in the span of like 3 months. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. We're just gonna get injected with Marvel Madness for it's July to December.
That's great. Yeah. Now that I have a vaccine shot, I'll go and see a movie. Like, now I'll go and see. Like, I don't care, right? Once I get the next one, I might not for Black Widow, but I might for Black Widow too. I'll see how it feels.
There's a bunch of movies coming out in the next month that I want to see. Mostly horror films, but like the new Saw film comes out, I think, a week or the week after. A Quiet Place 2 comes out, I think, next week or the week after that. And then, what's it called? Part 3 of that horror film. Oh, man, I can't even think what it's called. Anyway, there's another horror film, I think, early June. And then, we get Black Widow in July. So it's like 4 movies in like the next couple months that I want to see. So
that's great.
It'd be nice if the theater's open.
Yeah. Are theaters not open there? I think theaters are open here. Maybe I'm wrong, though.
I don't think they're open here, but I might be wrong. I don't know. But, I mean, nothing's come out for me to, like, really try to go see anything.
Yeah, totally.
We don't have a shot yet. So the best part is like, the government, I guess, opened it up to 18 plus here.
Oh, good. So you can get yours.
They didn't announce it to anybody. So, like, when you go online to actually book the shot, you can't book it because it still says 40 plus.
Very good.
So,
very good.
It's great. You go to the government site, it's like, 18 plus can get these 2 vaccines. And then you go to the actual website to sign up, and it's like, no, 40 plus. So,
all right. Someone update the webpage. Someone tell Bill. Come on, Bill.
Real good. Anyway.
Webpage Bill.
So, as I said in the beginning, we're going to do our next 10 albums, our top 20.
We are?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry to break the news to you. Better come up with those off the top of your head.
Got it. Yeah. Got them all.
Yeah, good. I knew you were like one of those people that could like photo memory, you can see things once.
That's me.
Best memory I've ever seen.
It's true. If anybody knows anything about me, they know how great my memory is.
I remember I think the last time you were a user, you had like your phone alarm was, oh my God, my dog is driving me crazy. Your phone alarm went off like 16 different times while you were at my house. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, that's just reminders of things.
Yep. I have to remind myself to do shit or I'll forget. Even easy, even just regular stuff I have to remind myself to do.
Oh, my dog. Look at this asshole. Look.
Finnegan, you going crazy, dog.
It's driving me nuts.
Kate's at her parents' house, so I don't have to be quiet, which is nice.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So do you want to start off this week, or do you want me to start off this week?
Yeah, I'll start off this week, I guess. Okay, so in my second list of 10, I'm starting off with Hello Goodbye, Would It Kill You?
Oh, very nice. This was going to be my special mention. So.
Oh, was it? Oh.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm stealing it from you. Better start thinking.
Oh, I got another one in mind. Don't worry.
Yeah, so I really love this album. So
I love this album.
For anybody who doesn't know who Hello Goodbye is, or does, and it's not based on this album, like, this is an album that's like pretty unique. Even like everything since it and before it, like, is pretty much similar to each other. Like the first EP and Dinosaurs are like so similar, and then the album that came after this album was like kind of like almost like a progression from the original stuff into that new sound. Whereas like I didn't find this album like really fit in with anything that they had done prior.
No, I agree.
Not that I didn't like the other sound. I did like the other sound.
There were some catchy aspects to the like older sound, but like it's very early 2000s.
Would have never been like it would have never found itself on this list. Like this one is like unique enough that it's special. Like it's good. It's got a good sound.
It's like
I did mean zombies, aliens, whatever. Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I couldn't remember what it was called.
It's a very like early 2000s band that like kind of like, I mean, if I remember correctly, didn't they blow up because of MySpace?
Yes, and I think the fact that they were on Drive Thru Records probably helped too, just because that got notoriety.
But like it's the same as like Panic at the Disco that like really blew up out of like that MySpace era of like
that techno-y sound too.
Yeah, and they kind of strayed away from that with that album, but like this album I just find like there's not a bad song on this album. This album is catchy.
Yeah, I agree. This whole album is amazing. Like honestly, I probably couldn't even pick a favorite song, but
No,
probably
Stranded.
could.
That was not the album that he meant to put on the list. No, that is incorrect.
Oh no, that wasn't the album I wanted to put on. This one is Would It Kill You. This is a good album. Have you? I don't know if you've heard it, John, but if you haven't heard this album, it's amazing. It's so fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah, this album means a lot to me. Like I listen to it like literally probably once a month.
It's still in my regular rotation as well.
Yeah. Very, very catchy, very, very well written.
So catchy.
Lyrics are awesome. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Lyrics are strong as fuck. And Stranded's just trying to make a joke and it's not working. Or it is working and I'm just too high.
It's just the problem is he's wrong. and being wrong is fine, but it's not funny.
That's funny. Yeah, so that's my first one. I like the song Coppertone.
Oh yeah, same.
And I also love Would It Kill You. Just that song Would It Kill You is great.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think there's a bad song on the album. I think you can jump in on almost any song and find something you like.
I agree.
I definitely think diving into the lyrics, like it's just a very well-written album. Forrest definitely like nailed it with this album. And I don't feel like anything that's followed this album has come close to the quality of this album. Like I've tried to get into his stuff post this album, and it just hasn't worked for me. It just hasn't caught me the same way.
Yeah, the one after it I liked okay, but it like
there's a few tracks like
it lost its sparkle, that's for sure. And then the one after that I was like, I
didn't like it at all.
I don't know. It was okay, like I guess, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that album too.
Yeah, it's great. It's very good.
So my first one, whatever you want to call, number 11. Again, these aren't in any order. We probably should have mentioned that beforehand.
Yeah, not in order.
We should just say that now. Is these albums aren't in order. They're not in like the last album I say isn't my favorite, although it actually kind of is my favorite. But
let me see. Nope, not mine. Not even close.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, I didn't want to put these in order because, like I said in the last episode, that we kind of lost the first hour of. Music's very like for me. Depending on my mood, depending on the season, depending on the time of day, like I'll like one album over another album, and I don't think you can really say like, oh, this is absolutely my number one album because
I agree.
You find another day.
It might not be.
Yeah, tomorrow I'll be in the mood for something else, or I had a really bad day and I want to hear something else, or I'm in a very chilled mood and I want to hear something kind of mellow, and like it changes drastically throughout the day or the time. So. We didn't put these in order because I think ordering music is really difficult and almost impossible. So,
as you said, and I think it may have got cut out from last week when we lost that first half of the podcast, but it like this is really like is the best we could do to get a list, to narrow down a list. Like to go under 20 was like
difficult.
Like it would have been so. Would have been so challenging. Even to 20, it was challenging. Yeah. So
no, and that's what I mean is like anybody that loves music, and I feel like a lot of people today. I mean, we're going way on a tangent here, but like I feel like if I talk to people today, they go, "Oh yeah, I listened to this single, and then I jumped to another single of a different band, and then I jumped to another single of a different band," and it's like,
but I think it's different. I think it's different now. Yeah, I think it's. A lot of it stems from our generation because the thing is like
no, I agree.
That's people now, right? Like the generations before us were album people. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you, and that's what I'm saying. It's like to recommend an album to somebody today is they're like, oh, tell me the song that I should listen to instead of tell me the album I should listen to. And I'm very, very much an album person where I like to throw on an album. I don't put Spotify on shuffle ever. Almost.
See, me and you are like 100% opposite. Like doing this has been the first time I've listened to full albums in like I don't know how long.
I can't stand shuffle.
Oh, see, I love it because I love to have a list full of shit and then like not really know what's coming next.
See, I'm, and this is maybe my anxiety side. I have massive anxiety issues. Is like, I like to have things planned. I like to have lists of where things are going. And like this is like good mental exercise for me, making lists of like my top this, my top that, because it takes my mind, makes my mind work. And so yeah, when I'm listening to an album, I automatically in my head I know what's coming next, and that's like relaxing for me. Where if I put on shuffle and I don't know what's coming on next, it like stresses me out because I'm like I might not like the next song and I don't know what's coming, and like I can't live like that.
You're one skip button away. That's all you have to do. When you hit a song you don't want, you just go, no,
Can't do it
today. So what I do is I have like a playlist where everything that like I listen to, I just drop it in that playlist. So it's like thousands of songs big, and then when I want to take stuff out, I just go in, I remove it, and then.
You like to live dangerously, and I just don't. I'm a ground person. I like to live safe.
I like how I could be listening to Blink-182 1 second, and then I can go to the Lion King soundtrack.
I mean, A, that's really weird, but B, no, like when I'm in the mood for something, I'm in the mood for something. So like, if I want to listen to pop punk, I want an album of pop punk. I don't want to listen to pop punk and then I want Metallica to come on next after that, and then I want, Death Cab for Cutie to come on after that. Like it just depends on the mood.
Listen, you do you.
Yeah, but see, most of the albums you listen to are all in the same genre, so
totally.
It works.
Yeah, totally. But that's not always the case. But totally.
No, but I'd say 900 of the 1,000 songs on your playlist are probably pop punk.
Nah, it's probably not that divided, but yes, there's a lot of pop punk for sure. It's definitely the strongest, the most well-represented genre on my Spotify for sure.
Anyway, so my first album, fucking 21 minutes into this, is
Christ.
The Doors' L.A. Woman. And this is the oldest album in my list, 1971. I love The Doors. It's probably one of my all-time favorite bands. L.A. Woman, it was their last album before Jim Morrison died. He died, like, I think 2 or 3 months after this album came out. I'm a huge Doors fan. I don't think they have a bad album in the Jim Morrison era. They released 2 post him dying, and they're both not very good. But, L.A. Woman's one of my all-time favorite albums. I think it doesn't have a bad track on it. I think it's The Doors at their best. It's got bluesy elements. It's got, good rock elements. It's really, really catchy. Anybody that doesn't listen to The Doors, maybe the younger generation or anything like that, like, I definitely think, even you, like, I love The Doors. I don't think they have, like I said, I don't think they have a bad album. They're self-titled. Their first album is phenomenal. Strange Days is phenomenal. Morrison Hotel, also an awesome album. But
I'm sure I'd know something if I heard it, but I just can't. Like, I could never say what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely recognize tracks.
Yeah, I know I would.
Came on, but yeah, L.A. Woman. I don't think there's a bad track on the album, and The Changeling is, I think, the first track on the album, and it's one of my favorite tracks that The Doors have ever written.
Nice.
Check that album out.
I didn't know that you were a Doors fan.
Love The Doors. I mean, I wanted to put, like, all kinds of old music on here. Like, I would have loved to put a Beatles album on here. I would have loved to put a Zeppelin album on here. It just took 20 albums isn't enough to fit all this music
as we just said.
Yeah, exactly. So Zeppelin was really hard to cut. That was, like, probably my 21 or 22 album that, like, I had to cut. But, yeah.
Well, I'm interested to see what the rest of your albums are. Because mine all fit comfortably into one nice little genre, I would say.
Well, all these this week are American bands.
Yeah, you left it. I have one Canadian band in it this time.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I don't even know who that's going to be.
We'll see. You don't know them, I don't think, but you might know them.
I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out.
So my next album is one of the first punk albums I ever listened to. And I know you love this band. And it is Green Day Dookie.
The sarcasm is overwhelming.
So Ryan loves Green Day. He
hate Green Day.
He loves Green Day. They're his favorite. He has a Green Day tattoo
Yeah, it's on my asshole.
It's true. The A is the asshole.
I have nothing. I mean, the only song I've ever liked by Green Day is Brain Stew. I think it has the fucking catchiest riff ever.
Yeah, it's
but
catchy.
Outside of that, I mean, there's a few tracks on Dookie I don't mind.
Yeah.
But like American Idiot just ruined that band for me.
Yeah, I don't like American Idiot. I was with them. I was with them until Warning.
Yeah, and
I liked Warning because Warning was weird. But if I had to pick a Green Day album, like again, I like Dookie's one of the ones that like was super influential to me to like the style of music that I was getting into at the time, and like definitely like shaped, you know, what I was looking for in the band that I was kind of looking for like on the hunt for at that time, right? So
yeah, I was like listening to like Blink and Offspring.
You were what, sorry?
I was listening to like the Offspring and Blink during that time. Like I wasn't.
Yeah, I like the Offspring too. I like the Offspring too. But like Offspring's not one of the bands that stuck with me for long. Like I kind of got my use out of them by like they were like my bridge to other bands, right? It's like my gateway drug. But once I like got my new fill, I like left them in the dust. I was like, I'm good without you guys anymore.
Same. Like after Conspiracy of One and Americana, I don't think I really cared for any Offspring album. But
yeah, same here. Same here.
Those two albums like were huge for me during that time, and like yeah, just I mean I think they're a little later than Dookie, but
yes, they are. Smash was what was out when Dookie was out, which I was also listening to. But
right. Yeah, so I like Smash too, but I just never got into Green Day growing up, and then when Green Day like, got super massively huge,
yeah,
during American Idiot for me, like in my mind, and like that's when they were on the radio constantly, and like I got so tired of them, I couldn't stand them. I can't stand them today. Like I've tried to get into them so many times, I just can't do it.
Yeah, so it's they're the other band on my list that like I haven't seen still, and like I would still like between them and Alkaline Trio, those are the two bands that like yeah I've been listening to Green Day as long as I've been into music, and
right.
I still haven't seen them. So
I'm very curious how they sound live.
Yeah, I've only heard like good. I shouldn't say I've only heard good things. I've heard good things when they want to put on a good show. Like the thing is for me is like I won't go and see Green Day. Like if I couldn't like pick the set list, yeah, I would never waste the money to see them. I don't think, or maybe I would. I don't really know.
Are they still
I just have no interest in seeing anything from the last like 15 years. Like nothing.
Are they still doing that tour with like My Chem and Fall Out Boy or whatever the fuck it was?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure before COVID they announced like a giant. It was like the super mega tour. I don't know, some normal dumb bullshit tour.
Then Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance. I'd probably go and watch that.
I think that was the tour. It was My Chemical.
It'd probably be expensive. Sounds like it's expensive.
Yeah, it was like it was obviously stadium tours.
Yeah,
but I think it was. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure because I remember my friend Steve saying that he was getting tickets for it, and I was like, I would go if Green Day wasn't playing, but I won't sit through Green Day to see My Chem and Fall Out Boy. And like, the last time I seen Fall Out Boy, they were awful. So
I've never had really a ton of good experiences with Fall Out. Even when they were at their best, they were always pretty terrible live to me. So.
Yeah, like I really love Fall Out Boy's albums, but the one time I seen them live, they were horrendous.
I've seen them live like 3 times, and it's always been bad. So
yeah, and it's kind of the Blink-182 syndrome. Is like they're not good live.
Yeah.
I think they're fun live. I think they put on a fun show. They're funny.
Yeah, I do too.
But they're not good. They're not talented live. Musically, they're talented, but vocally, they're horrendous.
I think they pick a weird set list too. I don't find.
Well, it's all singles generally.
Yeah, but even when they're not doing singles, like I saw them a lot in their early days before they were really like a singles band, right?
Yeah.
Like I think I saw them twice, like before even like the set From Under the Cork Tree was out. Like I saw them twice off of Take This to Your Grave.
I think the only time I seen them, I think was right after Cork Tree, but I might be wrong.
Yeah. We saw them together, didn't we? I think we went together.
I'm pretty sure when we seen them, it was right after Cork Tree, and you were like, anything they play off Take This From Their Grave is going to be awesome, and anything they play off of Corkscrew is going to be really bad. And you're 100% right.
Yeah, that's too bad. Well, anyways, so Green Day is my number 2. Green Day Dookie. I like it. It's just a classic punk rock album, and I like it. It holds a lot of nostalgia for me.
I mean, they definitely were a trendsetter. You can't deny Green Day, like, definitely
no.
During that era, like, they were original, you know?
This is another one that I've been listening to, like, somewhat regularly, too, as of late, this album.
Right on.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've really gotten into it, so.
I tried a few times. I can't. I just can't do it. Yeah. I don't like his voice. I don't like the band. Lyrically, they don't do anything for me. So
yeah, that's fair. What's your next one?
My next one is Death Cab for Cutie Plans.
That's a good album. I haven't listened to that in a long time.
One of my favorite albums. It's very hard for me to pick like my favorite Death Cab album. I really don't think they have a bad album. Transatlanticism would probably be my second choice, but like
also a good album. I think Plans would be my favorite if I had to pick.
If I had to pick, I went with Plans, but like Plans is definitely their most commercial album. It's definitely their most like that's where they really blew up. I don't think like all their albums after that. Thank You for Today was their most recent album. It's also really, really solid. I don't think they have a bad album. I think Ben Gibbard is very, 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 very good lyricist.
Yeah,
he's great vocalist, awesome live, very, very talented musician. Yeah, I don't have a bad word to say about Ben Gibbard. I would listen to anything he puts out, but yeah, the Plans. I went with Plans. It's definitely a sentimental thing for me. I mean, it's very personal to me. After my grandma died, yeah, I put on Shuffle for some reason on my iPod for like one of the only times in my life where I put on Shuffle, and Plans came on, and that was like the album that got me through kind of like mourning for my grandma. So, yeah, it's just a really personal album for me, and I've always really had like a soft spot for it. So, yeah, I love this album. I think it's catchy as shit.
Yeah, it's so catchy. They got a lot of awesome songs on there. I haven't listened to Death Cab in fucking forever. Oh my god, can't even think of it.
I mean, they have 9 albums, so I don't go wrong with any of their albums, but definitely the things you would probably recognize most are from Plans. So
yeah, I would agree with that.
Soul Meets Body was like the single that just blew them the fuck up on radio back in like whenever
that came out. Yeah.
So yeah, Death Cab for Cutie Plans, awesome live band. Definitely check them out.
Haven't seen them live. I haven't seen them live.
Very, very good. Very, very good.
I saw the Postal Service live though. That was pretty cool.
Postal Service was another band I really wanted to include, but I felt like they were the same band almost, even though they're not.
They're not. So but yeah.
I love the Postal Service.
I love the Postal Service a lot.
That album, Give Up, is incredible. Anybody that doesn't know that album, like, definitely check that out too. But my biggest disappointment is they never did a follow-up to that album, and I don't think they would have caught the same vibe. It would have been a really, really hard album to follow up, but I think they could have done it and tried and been successful with it. So
yeah, I got to see them. They did like a really small reunion tour, and I saw them when they came to Vancouver. Yeah, and
I see them in
weird. They had Big Frida opened for them. It's like it's like what do they call that kind of music? Bounce music, like this. Like I think she's like It's like a Cajun, like transgendered rapper who like she just like twerks like nonstop, and it's like I
think we had different openers.
Yeah, we did. I think but it was like that's what made it so weird. We went from this like bounce music.
Yeah,
like the whole stage is just people twerking to the Postal Service.
I feel like though when I did see them, they had like a very weird opener too. Now that you say that, I don't think it was who you're talking about because I don't remember that, but I could have been very drunk by that point. I don't know. But I feel like they had like something really weird open for them too, and it was like this doesn't match the Postal Service at all. And then they were great as the Postal Service too. They played a great show. So
Yeah.
I think that was during like the, I don't know, 10-year anniversary of Give Up, maybe.
Give Up. That's right. Yeah.
And
2010 then, or something, or 2011. It was early when I moved here.
Yeah, but it would have been 10-year anniversary. So the album came out like what, 2002?
Oh yeah, right. Sorry, I was thinking when the album came out. I mean, like
Yeah,
when the
so it
tour,
would've
when the
been
tour came out. I mean, sorry.
So the tour would have been like 2013, 2014, somewhere in there probably.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't say off the top of my head, but
Yeah, me neither.
yeah, but Benny Gifford's awesome live. Like, he has a solo album too that's also really, really good. So
I couldn't get into the solo album. Didn't do it for me.
But anyway, up to you,
Okay,
bud.
so my next album is one that I know we both share a love for.
Oh, just like Green Day, right?
Just like Green Day.
Yeah.
Just like Green Day. So I think I remember being with you when you got into this band, I think.
Probably. You got me into a lot of these.
It was probably when we were driving to Warped Tour and you got into it because I played the album like nonstop the whole drive there. So the next album is Motion City Soundtrack, I Am the Movie.
Yep.
It's a great album.
The first time I heard this album, I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure we were getting McDonald's.
I'm not saying it was the first time that you had never heard it.
I'm pretty sure you were in your little white car.
Yes.
In a McDonald's. I think we got drive-through and we sat in your car and ate it. And you were like, check this band out. And I was like, this band's really good. And then we seen them live together like 5 times.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I think that's
Really,
the one
really
band that, like, I don't think I ever saw. The only time I saw them without you is when I saw them in Seattle. Like, when I saw them on this side of the country.
I've seen them 7 times.
Oh, I'm 6, so you're one ahead of me. Yeah, because you saw them without Tony, I think, didn't you?
Yeah. I seen them on their goodbye tour.
Yeah, me too. That was the only time I saw them without Tony. I thought you saw them once before that too.
I might have. I don't remember, but me and Chris from Sobeys, Chris.
Yeah.
Me and him had seen them together like 3 or 4 times. I don't know. Maybe 3 times, and then maybe with you 3 or 4 times. I don't know.
Yeah, but I know I saw them a lot of times with you.
I think that was their goodbye tour. I think was the first time I've seen them since maybe their 3rd album, or I don't know. I don't think I've seen them on like the Go or Panic Station.
I didn't see them on Go. I did see them on Dinosaur Life though, but I didn't see them on Go.
Might have. I don't remember, but such a good live band. Like such a fun.
God. Incredible live band. That's the thing that like caught my attention the most was how good of a live show they put on. So
like Jesse doing the handstands on the keyboard. Yeah, it was just there. I mean, on their goodbye tour, they didn't do that because I mean they're all in their 30s, 40s. You're not doing handstands on a keyboard anymore. But like after I Am the Movie, they were like wild when you seen them live. Like they were doing crazy shit on the stage. It was awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah. I remember on that Starting Line live stream that I was watching that I mentioned last week or whatever, this one part at the end where Kenny says, all right, let's all go around the room and state our age and on a scale from 1 to 5, how bad our back hurts.
It's so true, man.
It's like all these guys are all like 40 now and like
and especially like standing on stage for a couple hour or hour and a half and jumping around and stuff like it's not going to happen in your late 30s or 40s or whatever. It's just you're not the same person as you were in your 20s.
No. But I mean, at the end of the day, you can still put on a great show. Even you don't have to be jumping all over the place. And honestly, like they're one of those bands that always sounded good. They always put on a good show. It was always entertaining and energetic. They put together a good set list. And
Justin's voice is incredible live.
It's
like
awesome.
He's one of the best live singers I've ever seen.
He
nailed it. I've never seen him sing bad.
Yeah, I agree. He's awesome. He's so good. And this album is their first full length, and it's the best. It's my favorite still. It even beats the more popular one, which is Everything Is All You screwed me up with that. It's what happens when you get old.
Oh man, you screwed me up with that. Now I can't.
Hang on. What is it? Yeah, Commit This to Memory. That's right.
I love Commit This to Memory.
Me too. So good.
My only problem with it is there's 2 songs about New Year's on it. And I just can't do it. It ruins the album for me. It's why it's not a perfect album. It's like a 4.5 out of 5.
That's a weird reason to not like an album, but all right. I jump back and forth between the 2 albums, but like this is another one where like you could ask me next week, and my opinion might be that it's Commit This to Memory instead of I Am the Movie. But I think I Am the Movie holds the most for me, just because it's the one that like I got into from them, and like it was a lot like, remember how I said Steel Train last week when I saw them play songs off Trampoline? It like automatically grabbed my attention, even though I'd never heard it before. That was like Motion City. Like I remember hearing My Favorite Accident off this album, and like all I needed to hear was that song, and I was like, I'm 100% in. This is sick.
That was me with Capital H or whatever the fuck that song's called.
Yeah, I like Capital H too. That was the other one that I gravitated
when
to.
I see that song live, and it just I think we were at St. Andrews, and that whole crowd just started hopping to that song, and that like vibe of like that live show essence or whatever just surrounds you. And I was like, holy shit, this band is awesome live.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, you definitely got me into that band, and I mean, same with Reggie and the Full Effect. You got me. And I mean, that's a band that
and Full Effect.
They're I don't know if they really hold up as well as they did then.
Some stuff does. That's another one that like I've been dabbling into as well.
Yeah. But like some of those like first 3 or 4 albums, like there's some catchy fucking songs on those albums.
Yeah. You can't listen to the whole album. They're ones that you can enjoy like in pieces. Like But that was always his albums. Like there was really only one album that like I listened to front to back ever. Like the rest of them were always ones that I hopped. Like because it's a lot of skits and shit, right? So it's just like I don't need that. Like I just want the songs.
Sure. But yeah, no. I love My Dinosaur Life too. That would probably be my third choice. Their best album. Like Mark Hoppus produced both Commit This to Memory and My Dinosaur Life, and I think like arguably those are their 2 best albums. I also think that their first album is also like in that argument, but I don't think that band has been as good since Mark Hoppus didn't produce them. Like I think every album they did after that was kind of a letdown. So I
honestly think Tony, like the drummer, was a huge benefit. Like when they swapped out Tony, like I noticed it. Like it lost a lot of its like bang, like a lot of its luster to me. Was I
really hope that like they're kind of been teasing stuff. I sent you on They kind of been teasing stuff on Instagram and stuff, so I'm kind of hoping they're announcing a new album or something, a new EP, They released one song, but
that wasn't even a new song. That was an old like B-side that they just re-recorded or something. I think.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the slower one, right?
That
was the last song I think they released, and it was just like a B-side, like an old B-side. I was like, why do I already know this song? And I was like, oh, okay.
Maybe. I have no idea. But I'm hoping that they're back together and they've been recording something during the COVID or something like that. Put something out. And hopefully, I know, I follow Tony on Twitter, and like, he's been saying like he just went through like a divorce and shit like that. So it kind of seems like maybe he's interested in touring and stuff again because his life's in a different spot now. So
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping the original lineup's back together and they do a full tour. You know, maybe this year, or next year, or whatever, and put out a new album and all that fun stuff. But
I'd be good with that.
I'd hope Mark would produce it again.
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
be nice to have that member.
I agree. So my next album is Rage Against the Machine, self-titled.
Oh snap! That's a good album. I haven't listened to that in a long time.
Yeah, November 3rd, 1992. Really one of my top albums. Like I love Rage Against the Machine. I don't think they have a bad album, but this album just so catchy, so well written. The hooks, Tom Morello just like fucking kills this album.
They're super unique. They're such a unique sounding band.
I mean, they were a trendsetter. They made the rap rock genre, really. And I mean, they're the only album that still holds up, or only band that still holds up to me, and they've been broken up for 20 years.
Yep.
I mean, they're reunited now, ish. I have tickets for them. They got canceled because of COVID. They delayed them a year. They got canceled because of COVID. They delayed them another year. So now the tour is 2022. Hopefully they stay together that long.
Yeah.
And that tour happens and I can go see it because it's in Detroit. And,
maybe they'll need some money by then.
I don't think they ever need money. I think it's just a matter of them getting along with Zach long enough for this album to happen, or this tour to happen. I would love if they use this opportunity of the delayed tour to record something together and have new tracks, but I have zero expectations of that.
Yeah,
but
of course, yeah.
I just think you cannot go wrong with any of their 4 albums. And I mean, their 4th album is basically all covers, but this is their first album. It's really, really good. Anybody that is too young to know Rage Against the Machine or hasn't checked out Rage Against the Machine, they definitely started an entire genre. Tom Morello is one of the best guitarists in the world. I love Tom Morello's guitar playing. He has some catchy solo stuff too recently that is very him just playing guitar. Then he gets various singers to sing on every different track. It's not the same singer on any track. Really, really catchy. So yeah, Rage Against the Machine, self-titled.
Nice. Yeah, I was never a huge Rage Against the Machine fan, but there were some songs that I got into, so
yeah,
I got a couple albums. But
I love Rage. I've loved Rage since early high school, maybe.
Since you were raging.
Exactly. I remember, honestly, my oldest story I can remember of Rage was I have an older half brother who's 3 or 4 years older than me, and I remember him because he was a half brother, he wasn't living with me out all the time. So he'd come over on weekends or whatever, and he wanted the new Rage Against the Machine album, which I think was Evil Empire at the time. And my parents wouldn't buy it for him because it was parental advisory on the cover or whatever. And my mom's like, "No, you can't listen to that." And I was like, "He's listening to devil's music or something." My parents are buying this album. I was 7 or 8 maybe. I was like, "Oh man, this band must be fucking hardcore for my parents not to even want him to listen to it."
Band.
And I'm there's nothing on this album that's fucking wild or anything. But yeah.
That's funny.
Personal story time with Ryan.
That's great. Okay, my next album. I don't think you know this album, or maybe you do. I don't know. And to be honest with you, I don't know why this album has stuck with me for so long. Because I think, on the surface, it's just I always call. There's certain bands I call where they just they were in the right place at the right time, and that's how they got popular. So that's how this band is with me, except that they never got popular. They just. I don't know if they hit a chord or something, and I just got hooked on this album. I don't know if it was maybe the drive-through records trend that was weighing super heavy on me, but the next album on my list is So Long Suburbia by Alistair. Weird.
It is a weird choice, but I never got super into Alistair.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people did.
I think you gave me one of their albums on my iPod, when I stole the music from you on your computer or whatever.
It was probably this one, because this one is the one that really, this is the only album by Alistair I like.
I think this is the album I listen to. I'm pretty sure, but
yeah,
I never got super into them or anything.
No, I don't think a lot of people do. And to be honest with you, like I said, it's not it's revolutionary. It's 4-chord pop punk. It's cheesier lyrics. If the lyrics aren't awesome, but it's just every time I've ever written one of these lists, they always show up on it, and it's just even still to this day, it jumps into my cycle, on my Spotify for a bit, a couple months here, and I have a couple songs that I put on my main playlist. So they constantly do. They still do rear their head in. You know what I mean? But But yeah, it's not. I don't know. I have no idea what really draws me to them. It's just catchy pop punk, and I like the singer's voice. I think he's got a good pop punk voice, and yeah, they put on a good live show too. I saw them in Windsor actually, and I saw them in Detroit too.
It's weird because, like, I mean, this is going to be a tangent too, but like, I feel like music was so much more like underground then. Like, early high school era bands that I was like hearing about or getting into, like from friends or whatever, it wasn't really like the internet that was like doing it. It was just like word of mouth of like, hey, have you heard about this band? I remember the first time I heard of Fall Out Boy, it was like after Take This to Your Grave came out. And you remember Bobby from I Know Karate?
Yep.
I was I've known him since grade school and high school, but like mostly grade school. We were friends in grade school. And like I remember him sitting beside me in like media arts or something in high school, and he was like, have you heard about this band Fall Out Boy? And that was the first time I heard of them. And I was like, no. And then he gave me the album. And I was like, holy shit, like this album's really, really catchy. And it was like that type of stuff where it was like people handing out like albums or whatever. I remember going to like Warped Tour and people were handing out albums in the lineup of like, hey, here's like 16 different bands on one album of like tracks you might hear from Warped Tour or whatever.
Yep. I remember that too. I got into a lot of bands from those.
Right. And it was like, I don't know if you remember the band Alucard.
I know that I remember the name, but yes.
Yeah, there was a song on one of those albums from Alucard that I was like, holy shit, this band is catchy as shit. And I don't know if they ever put out an album after that. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think they did. Pretty sure they did. I mean, I
never followed up on the band or anything like that, but like I had that mixed album of like all these different tracks, and I was like, this track is catchy as shit. And that's how like kind of music got shared then. And like people that now are never going to understand that era. Like,
yeah. Well, it's funny because, like, you know, even how I got into this band is strictly because of that. Like, they got listened to because of the record label they were on. Like, when does that happen now? That doesn't happen now. Like,
no, nobody.
You know, there was a time. Yeah, there was a time where like anything that Drive Through Records would put out, like to me, I was like, honestly, the fact that it's on this label is confidence enough for me to be interested, like to check it out. Because like everything they have, I'm interested in. So like, you know what I mean? Even the more weird stuff that like didn't really fit the profile as much, like I still was into it. So it's like there were very few Drive Through Records bands that like I wasn't into, right? So you know, it almost put them into a good place by default because like they were guaranteed rotation.
Well, even like Absolute Punk, right? Like that was the website that me and you followed constantly back in the day, and like and that was a site I followed for like, hey, here's this new weird band that we're promoting or we're showing off or whatever on the website, and like I would be like, oh, I'll check out this band just because I trust this website that like they were a huge Blink-182 website, so I was like, anything they post about is going to be in that genre of like pop punky type stuff that like I'm going to get into. And
like the rest of my list is like the best of Absolute Punk is basically what the rest of my list is tonight.
And like, I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit or anything about him, but like, I think Chorus fucking sucks now. So it's like
Chorus. But in fairness, I also like am not into music like I was. So
sure. But like now it's like all music. It's definitely not what it was of like, here's a genre of music that we're going to cover. It was like, hey, we're going to cover Taylor Swift now, and then we're going to talk about Blink-182, and then we're going to talk about whatever. Like it's very.
I get that though, because I will say that like as music has progressed for me, like interest in like different sounds have come up, and like I would hate, like I understood the reason why Jason wanted to step away from Absolute Punk and to do something different, because like I'm not, especially if you wanted to grow it, right? Yeah, I know.
I obviously, look at me, like my taste has dramatically changed since that era to now, and I totally get that. It's like, he doesn't fit the Absolute Punk mantra anymore, where that's the genre of music he's listening to, and that's totally acceptable, because I think as you grow as a human, your taste change, your genre changes and everything like that. So it's no disrespect to him. I just, the site doesn't talk to me anymore because
me neither.
Most of the stuff that they're talking about on that website, I wouldn't listen to in a million years. So
that's the issue for me. Is it got to the point where like when it was Absolute Punk, it was curated, and now it's like the spectrum is so wide that it's like I found myself on one page I'd find one story rather than like back in the day, it would be like I didn't find anything. I'd have to read from top to bottom. Like
exactly. And that's exactly what I mean. It's like the front page would be 50 different articles all about stuff I was interested in. And now it's like, I can scroll 3 pages and find one article that I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, that's the era where word of mouth really started these bands. And like, I think either you or maybe Warped Tour was where I heard of Alistair. So
yeah, I like it. I love it. So Alistair, the album is called So Long Suburbia. And I honestly, my favorite song off the whole album is the first song, Scratch. It's super good. I love it.
Right on.
Fuck yeah.
So my next band is the Yeah Yeah Yeahs.
I remember them.
The album is
song, Maps.
Yeah, that's the album with Maps.
That's
I
the
love
song I know.
Their second album, Gold Lion, is also really, really good. I think it's called Gold Lion.
I think I tried to get into it, but I couldn't. It wasn't good for me.
I love Yeah Yeah Yeahs. I think their third album was not as good as the first two, and then I think their fourth album was kind of weak, but they kind of broke up after their fourth album. I don't know if they're ever going to do anything more, but it's a band I have not seen live. I would love to see live. I love their first 2 albums. Fever to Tell is catchy as shit. And originally, I really did not like them. Maps is the song that like blew them up on radio and stuff like that, and it just didn't really connect with me. And then I seen them live. I think it was like an 89X birthday bash or something like that they were at, and I seen them live, and they were really, really, really good. That's the only time I seen them live, but like I didn't really stay. I only heard like a few tracks, and I think we bounced.
So when you saw them live, you weren't like a fan at the time?
No. And I think we only saw like 2 tracks or something like that from them, and then we left because there was like 3 bands. It was when 89X was huge.
Your microphone went weird.
I can't cancel again because
I know. We'll just keep going. Everyone will just have to listen to Tin Can Ryan. Tin Can Ryan.
I think it does this at an hour in almost every time.
Yeah, we're not quite there, but yeah. Timing does seem to...
I don't know.
Anyway, keep going.
Anyway, Yeah Yeah Yeahs is an awesome band.
It's back.
I'm trying to talk louder and cleaner so that just in case I'm robotic, it sounds okay.
It's good.
Great. I love the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. I think it's a really catchy album. I think Karen is an awesome lead singer. I love female-led bands.
If you couldn't tell from last week's list.
Yeah, I mean, I love Tegan and Sarah. I love No Doubt. I love all these, a lot of female-led bands. But yeah, I love the Yeah Yeahs. I definitely think everybody should check out Fever to Tell. Their second album's also really good, and yeah, really good live. I've heard, I would love to see them fully live, but yeah.
Yeah, it sucks when you get into a band and then find out they're not a band anymore.
Well, that, and I mean, it's the same as another band that's going to come up later on, but spoilers. But when I seen Paramore for the first time, I didn't like Paramore. I couldn't stand Paramore, and it was Jimmy Eat World and Paramore, and I was a huge Jimmy Eat World fan.
That show?
Yeah, and Jimmy Eat World was scheduled to be the headliner, so I was stoked. And then I got there, and Jimmy Eat World opened for Paramore, and it pissed me off so fucking much that I left during the Paramore set because I was like, "This is fucking bullshit." And then I got into Paramore way after, and I haven't seen them since. But I would love to see them.
Yeah, because when I saw them off that tour, it was the second leg, and it was Paramore and who was it with them? It was another big band, and I was surprised that Paramore was the headlining band.
Yeah,
it wasn't Jimmy Eat World when I saw them. When I saw Paramore the first time, it wasn't. I think it was the same tour, but I think it was a different leg of the tour.
Different. I don't know, but I'll get into that more in 5 minutes when we are more like 45 minutes when we get to that album.
That's funny. Okay, do you want me to do my next one or?
I sure do.
You sure do. Okay. So my next one is, I don't know if they'll be on your list or not, but and it's hard for me to put them on their list because I don't know. So my next album is Your Favorite Weapon by Brand New.
You picked the one album I fucking hate by them.
Yeah, I know that. It's the one that I like. It's the only one that I like. It's the only one that to me, I shouldn't say it's the only one because I do really like Deja Vu. Yeah. But to me, like, this is the album that like got me into Brand New, and like, yeah, I love this album. I love it because it's different. Like, I love it because it's not like, I do like the style they went with ultimately, but I feel like it fared better for them. But I do love this album. Like, it's good. It's good. Like, it's like era music. Like, it's like perfectly styled to that era, to the time that it was in.
You're breaking my heart, boy.
I love the song Secondary. It's so good. I love the song. I love this album. Zoco Amaretto Lime, great song.
This is the hardest thing I've ever had to argue against, is because this is probably my favorite band. I absolutely adore Brand New. They're coming up later on in my list. I adore them every inch of me. Their last 4 albums are phenomenal. They're one of my favorite live bands I've ever seen. I hate their first album. I think it's absolutely dog shit. So it's like,
well, I think it's one of my favorites. So you will respect it.
I'm not trying to be mean to you or anything like that. Like, to each their own. I remember when I went and seen them live, I bought every one of their albums on vinyl at the time because the Science Fiction wasn't out yet, and so I bought Deja, Devil and God, and Daisy. And the guy at the booth was like, "You don't want Your Favorite Weapon?" I was like, "No, that album's dog shit. I'd rather fucking burn it." And like, he kind of like looked at me. I was like, "They're my favorite fucking band, but I hate their first album. Like, it just doesn't work for me."
I think there's a lot of people like that though, because if you stylistically like what Brand New ultimately became, this is literally not.
It's nothing like it.
No, it's not. It's like a totally different. Yeah, it's like a totally different band, basically, right? Like,
when I seen them live before Science Fiction came out, they didn't play one track off of their first album.
They don't play anything off of this album. Yeah. So, but that
and I was so happy.
They are fucking fantastic live.
Oh, they're one of the best live bands I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're great. They're just
Jesse can wail like unbelievably. Like, I got goosebumps during seeing them live because I was like, holy fuck, man, this guy can sing.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. He's intense, man. Like, it's nuts. So, but yeah, I love this album, even though I know Ryan hates it.
Jude Law and A Semester Abroad.
Yeah,
that was the first track I've ever heard by them.
Yeah, I think that was their first single. I think, or if you could even call it that. Yeah, I think that's a good song, and I like Secondary a lot. Secondary is the song that got me into the band.
That's the first time I heard of the band, was Jude Law and A Semester Abroad.
Was it?
And I didn't love the track, but I was like, this has some catchy elements to it. Like, it was fine.
Yeah.
And then when The Quiet Things You Never Know came out off of Deja,
it's a good song.
That's what got me into the band. I was like, holy shit, this song is catchy.
Yeah, I remember listening to Deja the first time and being like, wow, this is like impressive.
Yeah. So that I do understand that, like, Jude Law was the first time I heard of the band, so I'm thankful for that. But yeah.
Well, I just love the album. I think it's really good. I think Mixtape's another really good song that they have on the album that I like. And
is in 70 times 7 like the fan favorite from that album?
Yeah, I do like 77 times 7, but it's I like some of the other ones on there instead. So
right on.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I like I said, I'm not trying to talk shit. I'm more joking than anything.
Yeah,
just a despiteful asshole. But it's just my least favorite album by them, and it's weird because they're probably my favorite band or second favorite band. So
yeah, I know they're up there on your list. So I figured we'll at least see them.
Well, spoiler, they're my number one album. So
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
All right, hit me with your next one.
Paramore, After Laughter.
It's a great album. It almost made my list. It almost did.
This is my favorite Paramore album. I think this is one of the best albums, period, of the last decade. I think Hayley Williams is one of the best musicians alive. I think her writing is fucking phenomenal. This is one of the albums that I can relate to in insane ways, just because, I mean, it's very female driven, but like from her perspective, but it talks a lot about depression and, I have dealt with that. I have, elements of what she's talking about a lot through the album. And, it hit me at the right time. It came out in 2017, but, just almost every track on this album I can relate to in some way, and I just think it's track for track one of the best written albums of the last decade.
It's a great album. Phenomenal. Yeah, it's a really good album. Yeah, I like it a lot.
I loved Riot, by Paramore. Riot is probably my second favorite album by them, but it's just a pop punk album. And not that it's not extremely, extremely catchy, but
catchy.
It doesn't do anything that's like, oh wow, I've never heard this before. And After Laughter to me was like something that was like genre pushing. It wasn't a pop punk album necessarily. It has elements of a lot of different things, and it's just really, really well written. And their self-titled album, there's a lot of tracks on it that I really, really like. Mm-hmm. But there's also, I feel, a lot of filler on that album.
Yeah. I think in fairness though, it's because the album's like 16 tracks or 15 tracks, right? So, but I will say that I think there's if you could cut all the fat off of self-titled, you could still have a good 10-song album that's comparable to After Laughter, I agree. In my opinion.
I totally agree with you. I think if you cut 4 or 5 tracks from that album, it would be one of the best albums in their catalog.
Yeah, I just think
there's a lot of filler on that album. And
whereas After Laughter was basically cropped, it's pretty fine-tuned.
It's so fine-tuned. It's exactly track for track what I want out of them. Hayley Williams released 2 solo albums during basically COVID. The first one's Petals for Armor, and the next one's Flower for Vases. And Petals for Armor is very, very catchy as well. It was my album of the year last year. I absolutely loved it. She put out another album this year that's a solo album that's basically her playing every instrument. She's an extremely talented musician, and I think last year's album, Petals for Armor, is a better album than this year's one. But I'm very, very excited to see what Paramore does next, because they are back together. They are recording the next album. Yeah, Hayley has talked about she's ready to go back to Paramore and tour and so on and so forth. And she's also talked about how COVID gave her the first time in her adult life a break from touring. Mm-hmm. She's was in Paramore from the age of 15 on, so this was the first time where she hadn't toured every year of her life, and she was it renewed my love of music. It renewed my it gave me a break. Yeah, it rejuvenated her, and so I honestly think that the next Paramore album is going to be the best album they've ever written, and that's going to be hard to do as a follow-up to After Laughter. But I think agree. It's a phenomenal album. I can't recommend it enough. So
nice, good. That's a good pick. I definitely like.
I want to see them live.
I saw them live. Did I see them live off this album?
I see them live after, I think, Riot, and that's when I was talking about the Jimmy World thing. But yeah.
I think the last time I saw them live was off of Self-Titled, I'm pretty sure. I saw them with Hello Goodbye.
Oh, that
Hello Goodbye was horrible.
Well, that sucks.
So bad. And they only played songs off of the album after Would It Kill You? That was it.
That's
not one song other.
No.
That's don't
do that. I don't recommend that.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I wasn't a fan. Okay, my next My next one is another band where like my favorite album flip flops between two. I think we saw them when you came to Vancouver. We went and saw Newfound Glory do the anniversary Sticks and Stones.
I think you're correct. Yes.
So the next album is Chroma by Cartel.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I love this. I flip flop between Chroma and self-titled. I know a lot of people don't like self-titled, but I don't know, something about it just like it still catches me when I listen to it. But I think at the end of the day, Chroma has kind of worn on me more over the last decade or 15 years, and I think it kind of stands out as the stronger of the two. But did you ever get into? You weren't that.
What was the album they did when there was like Band in the Bubble thing?
It was self-titled.
Self-titled. Yeah. So I love Chroma and self-titled. I thought there were some tracks that was great, and I thought it was kind of meh.
Yeah.
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 But I like Chroma. Chroma's really good.
Yeah, I really like Chroma a lot. To be honest, even their newer stuff that came out, like the EP, I didn't really like, but then they put out a newer album in like maybe 5 or 6 years ago or something, and it was like surprisingly good.
I don't think I've heard anything after self-titled. So.
Yeah, it's not revolutionary. It's still Cartel, but it's good. I like it. If you want some just good like non-standard like pop punk, that's not like. I don't even know if I'd call it pop punk. Is it? Yeah, I guess it's pop punky. But it's not like power.
It's not typical pop punk.
It's not power chord pop punk. It's like
it's lyrically catchy.
Yes.
Hook driven rock.
Yes. That's a good way of putting it. Hook. There's lots of hooks. There's lots of cool little guitar licks and just the vocals are on point and it's good. I like it. Chroma by Cartel.
So I'm going to give my next album, and then I'm going to run away and pee, because I have to pee really bad.
All right.
It's the first time I've ever had to pee during a podcast, but I am not going to make it another 45 minutes.
Okay. Give it to me.
So I'm going to give you Minus the Bear Omni.
Oh, I saw that one coming a mile away.
Yeah, which is probably my favorite album of all time. Maybe second. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this album. Minus the Bear is probably my favorite band. It'd be between them and Brand New.
I was surprised. I couldn't figure out which album you were going to pick. I obviously knew they were going to show up, but I wasn't sure. This is another one where like the only one I know and like really like. I mean, I guess I followed along with the rest of them, but the only one that ever really stood out to me was the first album.
Highland Fires. So yeah, I love Minus the Bear. I don't think they have a bad album. Omni is their fourth album. Fourth album. Highly Refined Pirates is great. Manos also is great.
Planet of Ice.
Planet of Ice is also awesome. Omni is their fourth album. Then they have 2 albums after that, which to me are their weakest 2 albums, but they're still catchy. There's still great elements to them. I think Infinity Overhead is the 5th album, which I also really, really like. But I think their 6th album is the weakest album. But I love Omni. It's catchy. It's different than their first 3 albums. I think pretty much every album kind of has a different tone to it or a different vibe to it. They're a very technical band. They're very math rocky, where like they play in different time signatures. They're very like tap style guitar playing, where it's like it's definitely not going to be for everybody.
No,
but
it's not. No, it's not. It's cool though. Like if you're like cool. A guitar head, like I got into Minus the Bear because a bunch of guys who played like more like alternative metal kind of music. They like got into like kind of a more like chill. Like you said, like it's really tappy. It's really like it's hard to even explain as a genre. It's hard to explain.
The first album is definitely has like more hooky elements to it, but then like their third album is like a very, very acquired taste type of album. Like Planet of Ice is like very, I don't even know how to explain it, but like it's a cold sounding album. Like it's, I mean, Planet of Ice makes it kind of a pun, but like it's a winter album for me. Like it's a very, very soul. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, but like, Omni is like the reverse of it to me, where Omni is like a party album. Omni is like a very sexy album. Like it's a lot of the album lyrically is like sexual, and it's got like a very dancey vibe to a lot of the album, and it's still just as catchy, but it's a different sounding album. And I don't know. I fell in love with that album, and it's like a late night type, I don't know, smoke a doob and hang out album for me. And like, I don't think they have a bad album. I wish I could. I don't have Omni on vinyl, and it's my favorite album, but it's not in print anymore, and it's like $150 to get on vinyl, and I just won't pay for it.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I mean, if anybody listening to this has a hookup to get me Omni on vinyl, I will pay for it, but I'm not paying $100 for it. So, Minus the Bear is probably my favorite album. If anybody doesn't know Minus the Bear, I don't think you can go wrong jumping in at any point, but
I do. I would say if you don't know them, you should start with something that's more catchy. Like I think
I think if you go with Highly Refined Pirates,
Highly Refined Pirates for sure is a pretty safe.
But I also think you could start with Omni.
Yeah, I don't know if you could start with Omni. I don't know if I agree with that.
Because Omni is dancey and it's different. Where like I think if you jumped in on Planet of Ice, you'd be like,
Planet of Ice is not a good starting point. No.
Infinity Overhead, I think, is also like a really catchy album. The last 2 or 3 tracks on that album, I think, are like some of the best written tracks they've ever done. I can relate to those tracks really, really well.
Yeah.
My biggest disappointment is they broke up. Like, I think they will get back together. I just have a feeling that in a year or two they're going to be back together and putting something out. But I don't know. I don't know how else to explain them. They're just a very different sounding band.
Yeah,
I like originality. Like last week when I talked about Death from Above 1979, like it's also a band that has a very, very different tone and vibe to them. And the Minus the Bear is the same way for me. Is like I can't name you another band that has the same style or same vibe as them. Like they're just kind of an original sounding band. They're great live. I seen them live. I think after it was late in their career. I didn't see them on the farewell tour. It was before that, but they're just really, really talented live band. They hit every fucking note. They vocally, musically, everything. So, just one of my favorite bands. Hello.
Last time I saw them was when they put out. They make beer commercials like this. That was the last. I saw them like 3 or 4 days before the EP came out.
That's a great EP.
That is a good EP.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna run and go pee.
Okay, I'm gonna go and get a beverage refill, and then I'll come back and talk to the people.
All right.
To the people.
Should I stay while you go?
No, we should both go. So you go.
All right. 30-second break. Go.
We'll be back. Oh, snap. Just waiting for Ryan to come back from his pee. Hopefully his robotic voice will be gone. So if anybody is engaged enough and wants to put some of their favorite albums in the chat or whatever, that would be good. And we can have a look and see.
I apologize to the viewers, but if I didn't go pee right there, we're going to have an accident on film.
You've got robotic voice again. I hope it goes away soon.
Well, you do yours, and then hopefully mine, by the time you're done, mine goes away.
Okay, so my next album is the only Canadian band on the list. It's also the only band that I'm certain that anybody who isn't from Windsor will like know. So like they are not. You couldn't even go and look them up because they're not on Spotify. They're not on anything. And it's funny because I don't know if it's just like a piece of like nostalgia from the days that I was in a band, but like there's an album by a Windsor, Ontario band called Blurt. And the album is called The Upsides of Effort. And it is just like a perfect pop punk album. Like it's super catchy. It's nothing fancy. The lyrics are fucking fantastic. And it's quirky as shit. It's so good. I love it. I love it so much. But it's funny because it's like you could never find it to listen to it. So
they're not together anymore, are they?
They've been apart for a long time. Yeah, they've been. So I think after they did this album, they did an EP called Winter Sounds or Winter Songs, and then I think that's all they did. Then they started another band. The drummer left, Anthony left, and then they started a new band called Shared Arms, and I think they did an album or two like that, and then I don't know what happened after that. So
I remember seeing them with you.
Yes.
Several times. I think they may have even headlined Fame shows.
Probably. Yep, probably. Anytime I booked them, I would always put them as a headline. I mean, when they were bigger.
So yeah, the people that don't know is Matt was in a band called Fame when he lived in Windsor, and I went to pretty much every single show they played. Pretty for the most part. I mean, they're probably
we played a lot. But you were at a good chunk of them.
And so I got into like the local kind of music because of Matt being in bands. It was like more or less I was going to support my best friend playing, and I like Matt playing music. Like I think Matt's a very, very talented musician, but
thanks.
You're welcome. But it was more just a reason to like I want to hang out with my friend and see him play music, but it was also like, hey, there's local bands that I don't know about that I could also check out and find new music. So it was in the era where I was just like definitely like I will absorb every musician or music I can find. So yeah, Matt got me into a lot of music because of that, and I'm pretty sure the first time I heard Blurt was because of you. Probably. Either we went to a show or they were the headliner at something you were playing. But yeah.
Well, I booked them. I think I gave them their second show. So like their second show ever, I think. Like they were just kids. So like even when they like did this album, like they were young, like they were like under 20, like like young, right? So like, but yeah, again, I wish I could tell everyone like a direction to go and listen to it, but it's awesome. It's one of those like hidden gems that like to me, like it is literally the perfect, like it's a nice day, let's go for a drive album. Like roll the window down and just fucking give her. To be honest with you, the next two albums are like, these are like the three albums that I think of when I'm like, it's a nice day and I'm like, roll the windows down, go for a drive, put on some catchy tunes. And
how do we get Thane on Spotify?
Chris Carr could probably do it.
I'm sure he could. I don't think I have anything by this band. I might have an album somewhere with Blurt on it, but
the only way it exists is I have MP3s of them, and I've kept them over the years.
Yeah.
So it's like on a memory stick that I use to like just when my phone breaks down, I have to put it on again.
Yeah, I mean, I had Thane music on my iPod, and I would transfer it from iPod to iPod just to keep it alive. But like, it doesn't exist anymore. That's 4 computers ago. You know.
Yeah. Yep. I hear you. Mine's all on a external hard drive somewhere, but
yeah,
I definitely don't keep those around. I'll tell you that.
Well, how the hell am I going to post this on Instagram? Because I'm not even going to be able to find the fucking album art.
I might have it somewhere, but I don't know.
You'll have to
You
look.
can just find one that says "image not found."
Image not found. Yeah, 100%. All right. So my next band is a band that obviously nobody's going to have heard of. They're very, very, very small. Red Hot Chili Peppers, by the way.
They almost made my list. Not that album, but
I absolutely adore, by the way. I think, in my opinion, out of their most recent 7 albums, it's the most different sounding. There's tracks that definitely you're gonna think of and hear that remind you of stuff off of Californication or Sex Sugar Magic, but for the most part, I think it's their most chill album. It has a relaxed kind of summer beach vibe to some of the album. It's really good, but the late album, the last 5 or 6 tracks on the album, I think it's some of the best stuff the Chili Peppers have ever written. It's an album I don't think the band really likes. From what I've read, is during the recording of this album, they were not really getting along very well.
That's One Hot Minute.
Yeah, One Hot Minute was after John Frusciante left,
yes.
And they got what's his face from
yeah, I know who you're talking about, Dave Navarro
to play guitar and stuff. So yeah, they actually, I don't think, play anything off of One Hot Minute when they.
That makes me sad because One Hot Minute is where I got into the Chili Peppers, and there's so many songs on that album that I like.
See, I hate that album.
I know a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah, I've seen Chili Peppers live twice. I love the Chili Peppers. Anything post Mother's Milk, I think, is really, really good, except for One Hot Minute. I think that's really, really bad album.
Yeah,
there's 2 or 3 tracks that are really catchy, but outside of that, I think overall it's a really bad album. But by the way, it's just really, really, really good. My favorite track off the album is the last track, Venice Queen. I'm pretty sure it's a tribute to somebody the band knew that kind of was a inspiration for them in California. She died, and they kind of wrote a song for her, and it's I think it's a 6 or 7 minute song, but it's definitely a really, 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 really cool, relaxed vibe of a song that kind of, it has lyrics and then it kind of goes into a musical element for a minute or 2, and then it comes back and kind of finishes. But I think it's one of the best tracks they've ever written. I haven't been super huge on the most recent 2 albums, but now they I don't know, if people aren't a huge Chili Peppers fan, is John Frusciante is back in the band now. So I think their next album might be one of their best albums they've ever written, because it's been a long time since the last one, and having John back, I think it's just going to be really explosive.
He left after Californication? I know he left initially.
He left after California. He left after, by the way.
Yeah.
Nope. Okay. I think he left after Stadium Arcadium, actually.
That sounds more right. Yeah.
He left after Stadium Arcadium. That was the last album he was on. He wanted to do solo stuff. And then they put out I can't even remember the last 2 album names right now. But I think it's their 2 weakest albums since Mother's Milk. I love Mother's Milk, too. That was probably my second choice for their best album. But honestly, I don't think you can go wrong. I think Flea is one of the best bass guitarists in the world.
Anthony Kiedis has a great voice too. So.
Anthony Kiedis is one of the best vocalists, but I think Flea, musically, is one of the best bass guitarists in the world. I would say, besides him, maybe Les Claypool from Primus. I love their tones of bass that they put in their songs. It's one of the bands that they make the bass element of the track elevated, where you can actually really hear it during the songs, which is really cool to me, because so often the bass guitar gets buried in the mix and it almost all the time it follows just basically what the lead guitar is doing, and I find it like it just buries it in the track and you can barely hear it.
Yeah.
Where
he takes the lead a lot.
yeah, where like when you hear a really bass driven track from them, like where you can feel the bass guitar kind of flow in and out of the lead guitar is like really, really cool. So that's why I really love Promise. Why I'm always really connected with Chili Peppers, and same with Death from Above last week. Like, since they're such a bass driven band, like I love the bass guitar, I love the tone of the bass guitar. So really making that prevalent in the track, I think is really, really cool. So yeah, I love the Chili Peppers. By the way.
Nice. I was gonna put Californication on my list, but it got culled at the end.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great album.
It's very good.
Anybody that doesn't know like those albums, like fuck, you know.
I know you're missing out. They're good albums. They're just good. Yeah, they're great. And there'll be more songs you recognize than you think, probably too.
Oh yeah, there's 4 or 5 tracks off of Californication that were like huge singles.
Yeah.
I want to say that's like 97 or 98, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
By the way, it was 2002, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere in that like late 90s era. But
yeah. I remember the music videos very well. So.
Yeah, man.
So my next album is another pop punk classic for me. This is another band that I've seen a shit ton of times. So the album is called Destination Unknown and the band is called Mest. They're like a Chicago pop punk band and they broke up. Well, I mean, they broke up a long time ago. But they tried to like get back together a few times and it's just been like half-ass attempts where it's like the lead singer and a bunch of like replacements and it's like, yeah, this isn't very good. Yeah, it's not the same and doesn't have the same charm and it just wasn't good. Also, what's that? Sorry, your microphone's weird again.
Another band that you got me into. I didn't know Mest. I got into Mest because of you. I don't know them really well, but
yeah. So this album in particular, I think, was the one that kind of got them a little bit more love. They never really quite hit the peaks like that some of those pop punk bands were doing at the time. But this one, I think, got them as close as they were going to get. And they put out 2 albums after this, and then they kind of broke apart. But yeah, just a good, solid pop punk album. Again, nothing overly crazy about it. I just every song on the whole CD is catchy. And like I said earlier, it's like one of those albums that I like to put on when I go for a drive. And it's like nice summer day, weather is nice and got the windows down and you're just cruising and so Mest, Destination Unknown. Again, I think the first song off of it, the song's called Opinions. It's really, really good. But also there's like a song called Fucked Up Kid, which I really liked a lot when I was a adolescent. So yeah.
You remember that band Rufio?
Oh, I still listen to Rufio.
There's like 2 albums by Rufio that like I really, really love.
Perhaps I suppose.
For some reason, you bringing up Mest reminded me of Rufio.
What's that, sorry?
For some reason, you bringing up Mest reminded me of the band Rufio. Like it was just like that era of music that like for some reason that reminded me of Rufio, and I'm like, oh, I should go back to those couple albums.
When was the last time you listened to Rufio? Me and Kate still listen to Rufio sometimes.
Like 15 years ago, probably. Like 10 years, at least 10 years ago. It was before you moved.
I think it's still pretty good. I think it still holds up pretty good.
I'll have to put them on my Spotify list.
Yeah, you should.
All right.
Perhaps I Suppose. Dipshit. That's a good song. I like that song.
So my next album is a little band I like to call Vampire Weekend.
Very nice.
Modern Vampires of the City is the album.
It's a good album. I like that one.
Their 3rd album. I think Vampire Weekend is one of the best bands around. Album for album, I don't think they have a bad album. They have 4 albums out. I think every single album they've ever put out is like almost perfect. Modern Vampires of the City is my favorite, but you could put in their first, second, or fourth album.
I like the first and second albums better myself, but
I don't think you can go wrong. And like, they're creative, they're different sounding, they do different things each album. They're just really, really, really talented. And like, when I seen them live after this album, fucking incredible live. Like, just, they're playing everything on stage. Their sound is phenomenal. Like, it was none of that pre-recorded bullshit. Like, they were playing everything, and it just sounded really, really, really good. So, yeah, one of my favorite bands. And like, it's funny to me how often, one of my favorite films of all time is Step Brothers. And at the very beginning of Step Brothers, they play a track from Vampire Weekend.
Yeah, from the first album.
Yeah, and so often people like kind of like bump their heads to that track during that Step Brothers, and they have no idea who the band is. And like, so often I watch it with friends, and I'm like, yeah, that's Vampire Weekend, and they're like, I've never even heard of them, and I'm like, fuck, man, like, it's just a band that for some reason I feel like has kind of fallen under the radar for some reason.
It's true. It's so true.
But like, just incredibly credible lyricists, like catchy, fucking different, really, really creative. Their production value on the albums is top notch. I can't brag enough about them. So
nice.
Yeah.
Good pick. I haven't heard much from them in a while. I know that they did something last year, I think it was, right?
I think it was 2019, yeah.
2019, yeah. I have been out of them since that album, but
yeah, I mean, they only put out a new album every like 4 years, so
yeah,
we're gonna be waiting a while probably. But yeah, that I can't, for some reason the name of the album is slipping my mind. But their last album is also like very, very creative. They did a lot of tracks with the band Haim or Haim. I don't know. I never know how to pronounce it.
I didn't know that.
It's
really?
They guest vocaled on like 3 or 4 tracks of that album.
Oh shit!
But
I didn't know that.
yeah, I love that band. Like that was a band that was really hard to leave off my list because I think all 3 of their albums are really, really good too.
I'm surprised that you are leaving them off your list. I was expecting.
Yeah, they're not on my list, sadly. I wanted to put them on my list, but they're not on my list. But they are also very, very talented. And,
yes, they are.
Yeah.
I also enjoy Haim or.
I never know how to pronounce it. I think it's like the Jewish like Haim.
Yes, that's how I like hear it, but
I'm not positive. I don't want to misspeak.
So my next album is probably the only album that doesn't really fit on this list. It's still like rooted in like the pop punk stuff though, but it's kind of more like edging towards like the format kind of style where it's like just got like the pop punk influences. It's not really like really considered pop punk. That probably fall under that. So my next album is Hi, Everything is Great by Limbeck. I don't know if you've ever gotten into Limbeck. I can't imagine that they would be up your alley.
Didn't work for me, but I remember you listening.
Yeah, so this is another one that like I love like driving to. Like it's just it's almost like borderline like country folky kind of music, which is weird, but it's again like I love the lyrics. I find the whole album is like so fucking catchy. And like it hit me. This is another one where like I remember seeing them open for the format, and then I was like, oh, I kind of like this. I think I saw them open like 2 or 3 times for bands between the format and Motion City. I think we saw them with Motion City once, maybe.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So like I know this is one of those ones that like I got into from like repeat viewings, right? I saw them live a few times, and then it was just. But it's funny because the album that they toured off of most when I saw them is not my favorite album. My favorite is their first one, which is this one, Hi, Everything is Great. And it's just a great, weird, folky kind of sunny day album. It's really catchy.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it, but I remember you loving it. I remember you listening to it a lot, and I was like, not for me, but you loved them. And I was like, right on.
I did love it a lot. It's very good. It's very catchy. If anybody, I think you can find that. I'm pretty sure that's on Spotify and stuff. So
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I think I have a couple songs on my main playlist. I might be wrong though. But they have another album too, which is called Something Else, and it's pretty good too. But this is the one I like a lot.
It's actually called Something Else, or
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah,
it's called something.
Good. This is a factual based podcast.
Yep. Hey, Something Else wasn't my favorite album, so we're letting it slide.
Whatever. We didn't research that one, owners.
That's funny.
So my next one, second to last, is Queens of the Stone Age, Villains.
Oh, nice. I'm not really a big Queen of the Stone Age fan.
I adore Queens of the Stone Age.
Whose band is that? That's not Dave Grohl.
No, that's Foo Fighters.
No, I know if that's Foo. I thought it was like somebody else. Like, isn't that? I thought
Dave
there was.
Dave Grohl drummed for them during the second album, or third album technically.
Maybe that's why I'm getting it mixed up.
Songs for the Deaf. Dave Grohl was their drummer, but he hasn't been part of the band really since then. But Villains is one of the catchiest albums I've ever heard. They worked with a pop producer on the album, which made the songs have this like very dancey, almost pop vibe, but it's still a very hard rock album. From everything I've listened and watched and heard, Josh Homme is kind of a dickhead.
Who's Josh Homme? Is Josh Homme the main guy?
The lead singer, yeah. He knows how to write a great rock song. I mean, regardless of what his personality is in real life.
I'm trying to think of a song by them. The only one I'm thinking of in my head right now is that like dun, 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 dun. That's them? Okay, yeah, okay.
Go with the Flow, another track by them. They have like 7 albums.
Oh, okay. I know the name.
Yeah, this is the most recent album. Came out in 2017. I think it was like right after the Paramore After Laughter album.
Oh, okay.
It was a really good year for music for me, but yeah. I don't know. I love this album. Songs for the Deaf is probably my second favorite album by them. That's the album that most people will know. The album before that is Rated R, which is also a really, really catchy album. And then Era Vulgaris is also has some really, really catchy tracks on it. But yeah, Villains has this like kind of poppy, dancey vibe to it, but it's still a very hard rock album, and it just works really well. It's like I don't know. It's an album that you could hear during like the 70s or 60s, where like it was like going to like Woodstock or something like that, where like it had this like dancey, everybody kind of chilling out to like fucking rock vibes to it, but it's just like an album like you want to smoke pot to and just like dance to. Like it's got that vibe to it, and it's just really, really, really good.
Nice.
I think they're a very, very talented band, and yeah, they haven't put out an album since, so we're going on 4 years. So I really hope something comes out this year or next.
Are they active still or no?
Oh yeah, they're very active. I mean, they do kind of a side thing called the Desert Sessions, which is like basically they just get a bunch of musicians out into the like desert, and they like put on shows, and like basically they just grab different musicians from different bands and just jam together. And then they put out like an album of just like different random tracks from like all kinds of different combinations of musicians. They have put out like 10 different albums called like the Desert Sessions, which is just different artists cooperating together. And it's like always like a really, really cool kind of catchy vibe.
Yeah,
but,
that's sweet.
Yeah, they're just like a very trippy, psychedelic, like very into like drugs and shit in their early stuff. I don't know how into it they are now, but like they have tracks written about doing like psychedelics and shit like that. So they clearly have that like psychedelic vibe to them, but just really, really talented. I think they're one of the best outside of Foo Fighters. I would say they're one of the best hard rock bands there is, period.
Cool.
So
I don't really know them that well, but
I would recommend you just take a listen to this album and see if anything catches you.
What's it called again?
Villains.
Have to look into that and see how I feel about it.
I think there's some tracks on it you might find hooked on.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're very hooky albums. There's a lot of like pop elements.
That's literally the easiest way for me to get into an album is just like with a hook. Like I'm just a sucker for a catch.
The first track on that album, like it like slowly builds, but then there's like a hook to it that I'm like, holy fuck, they nailed this. Like they know how to write a catchy hook.
Yeah, that's a good way to keep me on board.
Yeah.
So
last one, buddy.
Last album. So my last album is a new addition to my list because, as I said last time, I've done these lists in the past 10 years a couple times, and so yeah, this one is one of the ones where I've always been a fan of the band, but I would never say the albums have ever really cracked the code for me to make me be really, really super interested in it. So this album came out probably 2018, I think, and it's called The Knife by Goldfinger. So yeah, so they put out this album and it's like a new lineup. Like it's a Mike from MXPX is the bassist now. They got I think they got like a new drummer. I think everybody other than John and the one guitarist is basically new. And it's good. It's just like a good pop punk album. They've got a couple that are a little bit more like reggae ska kind of things, but they're just super catchy, fast, like blast beat pop punk.
Yep.
Like it's just really good. And I don't know. I think the John Feldman is like a great writer and he's a great composer. He just knows how to write like catchy ass fucking music. And I was a little disappointed because they put out an album this year, and I when The Knife came out, I heard a couple songs. And I was like, yeah, it's fine, whatever, right? And then I kind of just disappeared. And then they put out a Christmas album, and then after that, I kind of went back to The Knife, and I was like, holy fuck, this is so fucking catchy. And it hooked me from that point on. And then last year when they did all of their live sessions, they played 2 songs off of The Knife, and I was like, man, his voice was auto-tuned as shit, but they were
that's a bummer, but
fucking great. It was so good. And it's just so high octane energy, fast pop punk, and it's just it's everything that works for me.
Right on.
Yeah, man, I like it.
I don't know them really at all, so
yeah, it's good. I don't know if you'd be into it or not. It's literally just straight up pop punk. It might be outside of your interest at this point.
It might be a little too generic for me. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
I've heard of them, definitely. I think they were on old
they're more known for their ska stuff, to be honest. They're more known for Here in Your Bedroom and San Simeon and
more they on old
Tony Hawk. Yeah, they're the band that did Superman. So here I am doing everything.
I know that's right. All right, well, here's my last one. We spoiled it, I don't know, 2 hours ago, but
Daisy, out of all the albums, you always did like Daisy. Remember when we drove to Vancouver when I moved here and we listened to that album a lot?
Yep.
That's the only reason I like that album was because of that.
Brand New Daisy is one of the best albums ever written. It's the most surprising album out of all their albums for me, where after Deja and Devil and God, I really expected their next album to kind of sound similar to those 2 albums. And I remember it leaked.
Yeah, it did. I remember that. Super early.
A week or two before the album came out.
Was that it? That was only a week or two.
It might have been more. I can't tell for sure. But a while before the album actually released, it leaked online, and this was in the era where everything leaked online, and you could download those albums. And so I remember downloading the leak. I had already pre-ordered the album, and when I downloaded the leak, I was like, "What is this? This is not brand new." I thought it was some different band that had been titled wrong, because it just didn't sound. It's so different than the last 2 albums.
It's very different.
What is this? And then when I heard Jesse's voice, I was like, oh, this is definitely brand new, but this is like nothing what I expected. And I just think overall it's just one of the catchiest albums I've ever listened to. Like I like I said earlier, I love Minus the Bear, and like between this and Minus the Bear would be like my two favorite bands. I don't think you can go wrong with a brand new album outside of the first album. Like I think their last four albums, I think all have their different pros and cons. I think between Deja, Devil and God, and Daisy, like I think those are three perfect albums. I don't think there's a bad track between those three albums. So
I think Deja would be the easiest for people who have no history with them to get a feel for it.
Daisy's not the easiest entry point.
No. Daisy's appreciated when you know the band.
Yes, it's an album. It was an album that when I threw on, I didn't expect to hear.
Yeah.
But as I listened to it, I was like, this is still brand new. There's elements of brand new in it. Yep. And there's elements of Deja and Devil and God in it.
Yep.
But it's also it's different. It has different vibes. It has different tones, elements. It has like almost hardcore elements in it.
Yeah, it does.
But it also it has those well-written lyrics, and it's still got the emo vibe to it at times. And like, I know that term gets thrown around really easily, but like, I mean, Deja is one of the like standout emo albums. It's that's what it is. Yep. And I adore this album. Like I said earlier, they're one of the best live bands I've ever seen.
Yeah, you just recently saw them too. You saw them right near the end, right? Like more.
Yeah, I seen them like a year before they broke up, just before Science Fiction came out. And I like Science Fiction. Like I know a lot of fans weren't overly impressed with Science Fiction, and I get that. It harkens back to more of a Deja vibe.
Yeah.
At times, it has two or three of tracks on Science Fiction I think are some of the best tracks they've ever written. But I also think it does have some shitty tracks on it.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's probably their second weakest album, but I also think there's some tracks on it that, like, if you like anything off of Deja or Devil and God or Daisy, there's tracks on Science Fiction that you're going to go, oh yeah, this is definitely brand new and I enjoy this.
Yeah.
It's just the weakest of the four. But that's like saying I had pizza 4 days in a row and the fourth day I got kind of tired of pizza. Like,
yeah.
It's still pizza. It's still great, but you're in the mood for something different maybe by that point. I don't know, but yeah, they're my favorite band, and I think they ended kind of in a bad way. I know there's some hypocrisy about Jesse kind of being a dirtbag.
Yeah.
Shit blew up online, and so I can't really speak to that. Like, if they did some shitty stuff behind the scenes, that sucks because it turned one of my favorite bands. And I don't agree with anything they may have possibly done that was shitty, and like I apologize that if me saying this is one of my favorite bands hurts anybody's feelings or anything because of that, because that's not my intention. It's just a band that I absolutely adore. So I have a hard time separating the art from the people that did it. And so that's where I'm coming from, is like, I question whether I can even still put this band on a top of list because of that.
That's where I was when I put it, but I still did, because I was like, for that exact same reason, is like,
right.
You know, the things I remember about these bands aren't the people, it's the music, and it's what it was for me at that time. And
yeah, and that's where I'm at. It's like I said, I don't agree with anything that they may or may have not done. I don't know if that ever was proven or anything like that, and I can't speak to that, and I don't want this podcast to be about that. But my point is, if they did shitty things behind the scenes, that sucks, and it tarnishes the legacy of the band, because I think it's some of the best written music of the last 20 years. So that's where I'm coming from on it, and yeah, I love this band. So
that's fair enough. So in just like last week, we'll end with one last quick one. But since I kind of ruined we kind of both kind of talked about ours already. So you had you had Hello Goodbye, and then we started talking about the Postal Service, and I had the Postal Service was mine. So I do.
I have a new one.
I also. You can go first, but I also have another one. So.
All right. So last week I did almost all Canadian bands, and this was a band I left off my top 20 list. Not that because they're not a very talented band, and not because the album's bad or any stretch of that. They just wouldn't make my top 20. But this is a band I feel like many people maybe don't know about, but they have kind of blown up in Canada at least. It's called The Beaches, and they're from Toronto. They're an all-female band. They opened for some pretty big bands in Ontario. I believe Elton John's last tour, they opened for Elton John.
Oh, crazy.
And I'm pretty sure they opened for Rolling Stones not too long ago as well. Very, 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 very catchy, well-written bands. They only have one album, one full-length out called The Late Show. And so that's the album I'm picking, but they also have 3 EPs out that are also very, very catchy. They're only 4 or 5 tracks each, but they're very, very, very talented. I seen them live. They opened for Mother in Windsor, and that's where I heard of them. That's where I found out about them. Just really, really talented. They know how to write catchy tracks. Their lead vocalist is a really good singer, and they're just a catchy rock with pop elements band, and they're really, really good. So they're from Toronto, and I love them. So.
Nice. Okay, well, my extra one for this week is one that didn't make the cut, but they always get close, and that's 4 Years Strong, Rise or Die Trying.
Very good album.
Great album. For anybody who doesn't know 4 Years Strong, it's just hardcore pop punk. Double bass
exactly
drums and then this album in particular has a ridiculous synth in it that doesn't fit at all, but does kinda. It's
early,
jarringly out of place.
It weaves in and out of the tracks, but it's if a hardcore pop punk band met a synth player, I don't know how to explain it.
I know. I can understand why they phased that out, but I still really like it a lot for this album.
Yeah, no, it's a great album. I honestly I like their most recent album a lot too.
I couldn't get into it too much. It was fine, but I felt this is one of the bands that I got into this album, and I got into it because it was weird. And as they realized, hey, if we were not so weird, we'd probably be more open to a better, more general audience and make more money. So it's as they got better and got more popular, I lost interest because they got rid of the thing that was what made them so unique to me to begin with. So they are still pretty unique, but I mean, it's just
It's if a hardcore kid started a pop punk band
and then needed a place to put their synth player friend.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I really like this band. I think they have out of their I think they have 5 albums.
Yeah, I think so. Sounds right.
I think 3 of the 5 are really, really good. So yeah,
I like their cover CD too. It's good.
Yeah, it's catchy. It's got great cover tracks. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up. It's Caller and Eve here.
Yeah, so that's the end of this episode. Next week we are going to do our top 10 films.
Maybe we're going to split it in half though. We'll see.
We'll see what we do.
We'll see.
I don't know. We'll figure it out, but I think we can do top 10 albums maybe quicker than this. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's delusional by mine, but
I think it is. I think it's delusional. But we'll talk and we'll figure it out. We're either doing top 10 or top 5 next week and the 5 the week after. We'll figure it out. But that's what the next week's episode are going to. Non-superhero movies.
Yeah, top 10 non-superhero films. So no comic book shit because we've already kind of covered that.
Yeah.
And Matt would pick 10 superhero films if we didn't do that. So
it's true.
My films I wouldn't have a top 10 superhero film, but
mine probably wouldn't all be comic book, but they'd be in there.
70% chance.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. So that's going to be next week's episode. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please talk about or think about following us on Instagram, follow Matt at Customs by Matthew. Go over to YouTube, follow us there. The link to YouTube is in the profile. I'd always appreciate a follow there. I've been streaming some video games there, so if you're into that kind of thing, you can always come by there. But yeah, overall, thank you. Stay safe, stay well. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. And if you listen to any of these albums, let us know what you think on Instagram or something. That'd be cool to know if anybody gets into anything from this. I'd always love to know. I've been looking at the comments as you've been posting them all week and just seeing what people are saying. But
yeah, no, totally. I love always knowing that I get somebody into something new. So
me too.
Yeah,
fun.
Post your thoughts. Post anything you get into because of us, and even if you want, post your top 10 albums in the comments, and I'll check them out. So, right on. All right, see you, buddy.
All right, man. Have a good night. Bye, everybody.
Later.